These are the top 10 most anticipated sneaker releases of 2025. Yeah, I get it. It's April 2024, so all of these shoes are over a year away, but we just had a bunch of leaks on Soul Retriever's website, so I wanted to give you guys my top 10 favorite upcoming sneaker releases of 2025 so far. And believe me, there is some crazy heat dropping. You guys might already have an idea. But hey, with that being said, let's just dive right into it. And let's start things off with the honorable mention. The Air Jordan 4 Black Fire Red Deep Royal. So a couple of these shoes on the list might not look exactly like the renders, because all we really have right now that's confirmed from Soul Retriever is the colorway and the name of the colors on the shoe. That's pretty much it. That being said, we can dream with some of these renders, and this Air Jordan 4 Black Fire Red Royal Blue looks incredible. It's kind of like a Thunder 4, except instead of yellow, you've got blue accents, and then you've got a red Jumpman. Now, unfortunately, that's all the info that we've got on this shoe so far. The good news is that a lot of other shoes on this list are retros, so we generally know what those look like. This one has the potential to be fire, but also has the potential to be garbage. I mean, shoot, we don't even know what the upper of the shoe is gonna be. It looks like suede in this rendering, but it could also be leather, who knows? But I'm excited nonetheless. I mean, come on, it's an Air Jordan 4. It's one of the most popular silhouettes right now. It's hard to mess those up. It's not impossible, but it's hard. Either way, according to Soul Retriever, this shoe is dropping in spring 2025. Number 10, the Air Jordan 1 Low 85 Royal. So yes, Jordan 1 hype is absolutely dying off right now, possibly even dead. A lot of really great colorways are sitting at the outlet for pennies on the dollar. It's nuts. If you guys want Jordan 1s, go to the outlets right now. It's crazy. But that doesn't mean that any of these new Air Jordan 1 colorways are any less good. In fact, a lot of these are some of the best colorways that we've had in a long time, and this could be one of the best Air Jordan 1 lows of all time. And the reason for that is because not only is this one of the classic OG Air Jordan 1 colorways, the Royals, but it's coming in an 85 cut, which is a more premium take on the Air Jordan 1 lows. And I don't know if you've noticed, but over the last year or so, the Air Jordan 1 low has been more popular than the Air Jordan 1. Sure, it has a lot to do with collaborations like the Trophy Rooms or the Travises, but I think it's just a shoe that people find more easy to wear. So when you get these classic colorways like the Royals on a silhouette that's pretty solid overall, especially with the 85 cut, it's a winning scenario. And you guys know it, I don't even have to say it, the Jordan 1's my favorite silhouette. I have a favorite colorway of the Jordan 1, but we'll get to that later. So having a low top version of one of the classic Air Jordan 1s in the original tooling, the 85, not original tooling, close to the original tooling, the 85 tooling, doesn't get much better for me at least. And apparently they're aging the midsole, which I get that some people don't like, but let's be honest, cream midsoles are a trend right now. I mean, shoot, look at the Trophy Rooms, let me grab them. I mean, look at this. There was no reason for them to age the midsole, but let's be honest, the cream looks good. I think this looks better than it would if it was just a white midsole. Either way, the Air Jordan 1 Low 85 Royals are slated to drop sometime next year. Soul Retriever says spring. I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer to summertime because Air Jordan 1 Lows make sense around the summer, but we'll just have to wait and see. Number 9, the Nike Kobe 6 Protor Sail. So this colorway of the wildly popular Kobe 6 was first seen on the feet of Paul George and was widely thought to be a player exclusive and would never release to the public. Then we saw Vanessa Bryant wearing them on Mamba Day, and now the rumor mill has spun up and it looks like these shoes might be releasing in 2025. The colorway itself is pretty simple. You've got a primarily cream colored upper and midsole. Of course, you've still got the snakeskin 3D texture on the upper of the shoe because it is a Kobe 6. Presumably the shoe will be a Protor version of the Kobe 6 because I don't think we're getting any standard versions of Kobe retros, at least to my knowledge. And this incredibly clean, very simple colorway is rounded off with a black Nike swoosh and a black Kobe logo on the tongue. It's crazy because there hasn't been a pair of Kobe 6s that I've been excited about really since the Grinches. I mean, I like all the Kobe 6s, but nothing's really been like, wow, I really need that. And this is one of those shoes where I'm like, dang, I could really rock that. It's hard for me to rock Kobe's casually, I'll be honest, but this is a shoe that if I get it a half size up or maybe even a full size up, leave the laces untied, that's gonna be a banger for summer. That shoe is fire. Now it is very possible that Nike makes some changes to this shoe to make it a little bit different from the PEs because they really like to do that, so we'll have to wait and see if it turns out to look exactly like the PE version of the shoe. We're all kind of hopeful that it does, but who knows? And according to Soul Retriever, although the release of this shoe is pretty much a year away, apparently it's spring 2025, so not that far, maybe like March, April? But either way, this is definitely my Kobe pickup for 2025. And there are a decent amount of Kobe's releasing next year. I just didn't put them on the list because the video would have been like 2 hours long. Actually, let me know in the comment section down below if you guys want me to do a live stream covering all of the releases that were leaked because there's a lot of them and they're dope. I just didn't have time to put them all in this video. Number 8, the Air Jordan 1 Deep Royal Blue. So this unfortunately is one of those situations where it's a rendering that looks absolutely incredible, but the chance of it actually looking like this is probably slim to none. All we have is really the name of the colorway and the colors used on the colorway. We do not know the color blocking. However, this rendering, if this is the case, is incredible. It looks like the Fragment ones, a shoe that's been a grail of mine for years, without the Fragment logo. And I'm okay with that. Sure, I like the shoe because of the hype, because of that Fragment logo, but honestly, the colorway itself was fire and we had never gotten anything like that before. Well, not in blue. I'm looking at another rendering. It's got a gray Nike swoosh in this rendering and a gray toe box, which actually, hold on. No, it had the gray in the other rendering too. Oh, I missed that. Okay, well, it's not gonna look like the Fragment ones. So there goes all that. But I mean, if it's got a black Nike swoosh, it still looks clean. It's still a shoe that I think people would pick up. It's got a cream colored midsole, at least based on these renderings, and it could be fire. But I'm just starting to think that it won't be. Probably shouldn't have even put it on the list because I'm not that excited about it anymore. Spring 2025. Enjoy. The 4 of you that'll buy it because most likely it's gonna look awful. I know a lot of these shoes are a year away, but a lot of these are retros of previous classic Air Jordan models. So if you want to grab any of these shoes that I mentioned in today's video, I've made sure to leave links to all of them through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen and in the description below. Plus, when you're up there, you can also grab some Apothecary socks, the most comfortable socks out there, and of course, hats like this, the pretty much bro hat, just not in green because we're sold out of that, but a lot of other great stuff on the website. Number 7, the Air Jordan 9 Cool Gray. First released in 2002, the Cool Gray Air Jordan 9s are probably the most popular, if not one of the most popular colorways of the Air Jordan 9s ever. And sure, the Air Jordan 9 might not be the most popular pair of Air Jordan retros of all time, but it's still an incredibly popular colorway on a very popular shoe, and I'm trying to grab a pair because I've never had a pair of that's not true, I had a pair of the Cool Gray 9s. I did have a pair of the Cool Gray 9s, so I'm gonna get this pair. Apparently the shoe is coming back in its original makeup. You've got sort of a gray nubuck upper accented by a darker gray patent leather. Of course, you've got a white midsole with the gray Jumpman towards the heel, and then you've got a semi-translucent gray on the outsole. Probably not the most exciting shoe on this list, but definitely one that I think a lot of OG heads are excited about, and I'm personally excited about. So here we come, spring 2025. Give me all these crazy releases, actually. There's a lot of stuff dropping in spring 2025. Number 6, the Air Jordan 3 Hydrogen Blue. Yep, this is another one of those colorways that we don't know if it's gonna look like this or not, but we hope that it looks like this because this shoe, based on the renderings, is fire. Now this might be crazy, but I have a feeling that this might end up being women's only release. The reason I say that is because a lot of their newer colorways that are not OG colorways end up being women's only releases for whatever reason. Like it just happened with the Georgia Peaches, the orange pair, whatever it ended up being called. Like it was a women's only release, and I think it only went up to like a size 10.5 men's, which means that a lot of dudes who wanted to rock this shoe just couldn't. And it was like, why? It was a great colorway. There was nothing inherently feminine about it. I didn't understand why they decided to make it a women's only release. Who knows? But I just have that feeling with this shoe. I hope it's not the case, especially if it looks like this, but we'll just have to wait and see. Based on this rendering, the shoe looks like it's gonna come with a white leather upper, accented by a light hydrogen blue on the midsole of the sneaker. You've also, of course, got elephant print, and then you've got this sort of cream or off-white colored midsole, all of which make the shoe look amazing. And to be honest, if it looked any different than this, I probably wouldn't have put it this high on the list. I just really like the way that it looks, and I really want a pair of these in my collection. Similar to the UNC 3s a little bit, actually. I hate saying that about a lot of the shoes on this list, but they're a year out. Number 5, the Air Jordan 3 Black Cat. The Black Cat 4s that just recently retroed have been a runaway success. I mean, resale is up around $1,000 right now, which is crazy when the sneaker market is completely collapsed. But I mean, let's be real, people love their all black Jordans, and the Air Jordan 3, while not as popular as the Air Jordan 4 at the moment, is still one of the most popular silhouettes of all time. My second favorite Air Jordan silhouette. You got the 1s, the 3s, and then I guess the 4s and the 11s. Either way, the Air Jordan 3 Black Cat originally released in 2007, and it looks like we're getting another release of this shoe in 2025. Now, as you probably would expect, the shoe comes in pretty much entirely black, because of course it's the Black Cat 3s. From what I can tell, I don't think it's going to be any different than the original release of this shoe. Just a black pair of Air Jordan 3s, and the hype is there. No, it might not be as hyped up as the Black Cement 3s releasing at the end of this year, or the White Cement 3s that released last year, but I still think it's going to be an incredibly hyped up shoe, and I'm excited to try and get a pair when apparently it releases in the spring of next year. I'm interested to see though, because I thought the hype was going to be there for the Fear 3s, and that shoe is sitting in the outlets right now. One of my favorite Air Jordan 3s is sitting in the outlets. That's pretty wild. So who knows? People could just not care about this release. I have no idea. We'll have to wait and see, but based on the Black Cat 4s, I don't know. Could be hyped. Number 4, the Air Jordan 12 Flu Game. As most of you know, the bread one is my favorite shoe of all time, but what might not surprise you is that bread colorways of shoes tend to be my favorite colorways of those shoes, and Flu Game 12s are no exception. I mean, shoot, you've got the bread 11s, my favorite pair of 11s. You got the Black Cement 3s, which aren't really a bread colorway, but it's as close as you get in 3s realistically. The 4s, bread 4s, pretty much. I mean, I do like the White Cements a lot, so that's not as good of an example. But I mean, you guys get it. I just love black and red sneakers. 1, because I love red, it's my favorite color, but 2, because that's the iconic Michael Jordan colorway. And when you pair a colorway like this with a story like Michael Jordan's Flu Game, Tyrese Maxey almost had one of those. I mean, he still did incredibly well, even though they lost to the Knicks. It's a recipe for an incredible, iconic, historic shoe. And the last time that we had a retro of this iconic sneaker was back in 2016, so it's really great to finally be getting this shoe back in its OG form, presumably. According to Soul Retriever, it's coming back in its OG shape and OG colorway and all sort of good stuff. We honestly don't really know for sure. There's no way to know until you see official images from Jordan Brand, but according to Soul Retriever, it's coming back in its OG color blocking, OG shape, all that sort of good stuff, which is amazing. The 12 is not my favorite silhouette in the world, but a colorway like this, you can never have too many pairs, and if I'm gonna rock a pair of 12s, it's gonna be this colorway. It's crazy to think about because right now the Air Jordan 4 is just the most popular Air Jordan silhouette, but every couple years that popular Jordan retro changes out. Like previously it was the Air Jordan 1s, before that, maybe the 3s. 2016, it was definitely the Air Jordan 12s. I know that sounds crazy. I mean, the Jordan 1s were popular too because we got the black toes and the breads and all sort of good stuff, but the 12s were incredibly popular as well. You had the Master 12s, you had the French Blues, you had the Flu Games, you had a lot of really great 12s dropping, and they all sold out very, very quickly and were very difficult to get. I don't know if the 12 will ever be as popular as it was back in 2016 or probably when it first released, but it is really exciting to get this shoe back, and I'm hyped. Now, obviously, there's no release date set yet, but Soul Retriever says that this shoe should be dropping in the spring, so look for it then, but you'll probably know more as we get closer to the release. Number 3, the Nike Air Foamposite 1 Galaxy. Growing up around Baltimore, the Nike Foamposite was the shoe. And so because of that, I have these weird aspirations to have like a bunch of different Foamposite colorways, but then I throw them on feet and I'm like, wow, these shoes kind of suck. They're not that comfortable. So there's this weird battle in my head where I have these colorways that I just aspire to have, like the Galaxies and the Supremes, which I just recently got in Japan. If you guys want to check out that vlog, there'll be a link at the top of the screen. But there's a bunch of colorways of the Foamposites that I've always wanted, Paranormans, but I just haven't been able to grab. And the Galaxies have been one of those colorways that I never spend the money on because I'm like, they'll re-release them. It's gotta happen. And for the last year or so, we've been hearing that 2024 is the year that the Galaxies return. If you don't know about the Galaxy Foamposites, they first released back in 2012 during All-Star Weekend. At that point, I was living in Philadelphia. I was out of Baltimore because I was in college, but it was still a shoe that I just really wanted, and I think everyone wanted at the time. Like, it was the it shoe. And it was right up there with the Roshis. But this shoe was like the perfect combination of hype. It was the Foamposite, which is a pretty hyped up silhouette. It had a glow-in-the-dark outsole, which was like a Galaxy print on the upper, and Galaxy print was just so popular at the time. In fact, back when I was customizing Roshis, I was customizing them mostly as Galaxy print Roshis and Black Cement 3 Roshis, but mostly Galaxy. And dropping during All-Star Weekend alongside a lot of other hyped up basketball sneakers, I mean, it was a shoe to get, and I didn't have a shot. But apparently, 2025 is the year. Not gonna hold my breath though, because I've been faked out before. And the reason this shoe is so high on the list is because if this shoe does release in 2025, double up, because let's be real, Foamposites are not hyped like they used to be, and they're $250. So people are not gonna run out to the store and grab this the same way that they would have back in 2012. I think it will probably sell out, but I just don't think the hype is going to be there as much for this one. So I think getting 2 pairs for retail won't be impossible. Not going to be easy, but won't be impossible. However, this is all predicated on the fact that this shoe actually returns next year, like apparently it's rumored, and it isn't some weird new take on the Galaxy Foamposite, which I think is very possible. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm not holding my breath, but this has potential to be just a great release if it happens. And most likely, if it does release next year, it will release during All-Star Weekend because that's when it originally released back in 2012, so expect it to release in February if it drops. Number 2, the Nike SB Air Jordan 4 Summit White Navy. So I realize it hasn't been that long since the Nike SB Air Jordan 4 is released, but I don't know if you guys remember how hyped up this collaboration was. And yes, it is a collaboration. I know that a lot of people think that, oh, it's Nike SB and Jordan brand. They're both Nike companies. True, but they're both technically separate entities, so it is still a collaboration between 2 different entities. If you're not familiar with the Nike SB Air Jordan 4s, essentially what this is a skateboarding focused Air Jordan 4. There have been some modifications to the shoe, like material upgrades, changes in the rubber compound, and also removing the air unit in the forefoot to give you more board feel, which actually somehow makes the shoe more comfortable. I've heard that disputed, but honestly, this shoe is the most comfortable pair of Air Jordan 4s. I don't care what anyone says. And there's Nike SB on the back, which is crazy. I don't know why I like that so much, but it's fire. Plus, you throw in the green and white colorway. I mean, this shoe is amazing. It makes sense why this shoe was sneaker of the year for a lot of people. So these rumors about a second Nike SB Air Jordan 4 releasing in a similar colorway except switching out the green for blue, pretty exciting. Now obviously nothing's confirmed as far as the placement of colors, but based on the renderings that we're seeing, which again, all speculative, but based on those renders, it looks like literally all they're doing is switching out the green for blue, and that's it. And I love that. I think that's amazing. We'll see if that actually ends up being the case. Usually the renderings end up looking better than the shoe that actually comes out. I don't know why that is, because Jordan Brand definitely looks at some of the shoes and they're like, we know what you want. We know how to make a dope shoe because we made them, but we want to give you something that you don't like as much. And I think it's purposeful. It's Jordan Brand, what are you doing? Jordan Brand is filled with incredible designers. They know exactly what they're doing. I don't think it's the designer's fault that Jordan Brand's like, no, push this other colorway instead. They give us almost what we want, so that 5 years down the road, they can give us exactly what we want when the shoe's not as hyped, and that sells too. So I understand it. Just sucks. Honestly, no matter what the shoe looks like, unless it looks terrible, which I don't think would be the case, I think the shoe is going to be incredibly popular and probably one of the most popular shoes of 2025. Maybe not as popular as number 1 though. Apparently the Summit White Navy colorway of the Nike SB Air Jordan 4s are slated to release in March, but we'll have to wait and see if that actually happens or if they release sometime later in the year. At this point, almost a year away, we really don't know and release dates tend to move. Number 1, the Air Jordan 1 High 85 Bread. There's no disputing it, there's no debating it. The Bread Air Jordan 1 is my favorite sneaker of all time, and in my opinion, the best shoe ever made. Literally. Sure, it might not be the most comfortable. Sure, you might not like black and red shoes, but those are really the only two reasons that I could think of why anyone wouldn't like this shoe. Not only is the Air Jordan 1 the genesis of one of the most popular sneaker lines of all time, but the bread colorway is a colorway with so much history, maybe not on the Air Jordan 1s, on the airships, but still, it's such a good looking shoe. I just can't think of a better overall shoe. And the last time that we got a true Air Jordan 1 bread retro was back in 2016 with this pair, which is still one of my favorite pairs in my collection. I have multiple pairs of this shoe because I just like this shoe so much. But in 2025, it'll have been 9 years since we last got a true Air Jordan 1 bread retro. Sure, we got satin bread ones, which are still great shoes. And alright, we got patent bread Air Jordan 1s, but it's not the same thing. But the part where I get most excited about this information is that apparently not only is the shoe just retroing in its original form, it's retroing in the 85 variant, which means it's designed to look just like the original 1985 Air Jordan 1s. And it's kind of difficult to tell the difference between these two shoes here because my pair is size 9 and this pair is like a size 13? But over the last 40 years, the Air Jordan 1 has changed a pretty decent amount, and what the Air Jordan 185 does is make the shoe look just like the original back in 1985. Well, at least in shape. Not all the colorways are original. And apparently the reason that these Jordan 185s are releasing in the classic bread colorway, my favorite colorway of all time, is for the 40th anniversary of the Air Jordan 1. It seems stupid how excited I am about this shoe, but I don't think there's been a shoe in the last 10 years, since the Air Jordan 1 breads last released, that I've been this excited about. And the thing that sucks about this video is that every shoe in this video doesn't release until next year. We have to wait till next year for this to happen. It sucks. Best shoe of all time. You can't beat it. You literally can't beat it. I'd love to know your favorite shoe of all time. I know that not everyone can love the bread ones as much as I do. I totally get that. So let me know your favorite shoe in that comment section. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.